So do you love your life in the pet industry?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I miss it.
I
You
know.
know, you know, like Bill was saying, you could write a book, but then he goes, no, you could fill a library now.
All right. Welcome again to another earth-shaking video for the Museum of Aquarium and Pet History. This is a very intimate outdoor gathering with an old friend of mine, been in the pet industry probably longer than I have, Danny DiGiacomo.
Right.
So let's start. How did you get into pets? Did you always have pets as a kid?
Not really. I grew. I was born in Jersey City, and I was 11 years old when my family moved out to Southern California.
Uh-huh.
We grew up in the San Gabriel Valley, and my brother Tony became a dog groomer,
Okay.
and he bought poodles because the boss at his first grooming shop showed poodles. He was grooming at a store in Azusa or Glendora, and asked me to come in and help, work. So I was bathing and brushing dogs in a
Really?
pet store. Yeah,
Oh, my God.
That's how I got started. And
How old were you?
Had to be 17, 16.
Okay.
They opened up another store in Glendora.
All right.
The same company. And I was actually working there with Doug Swinehart.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Doug
All right.
worked at the dairy at the time, but Doug and I would on weekends would go down to Long Beach and see these stores that had saltwater fish
Okay.
because nobody was doing saltwater fish. It was King's Pet.
I remember King's on Pacific Coast Highway in Long Beach.
And he had exotic cats. He had a lot of animals
Yeah.
too. But the pet store in Glendora, we had a lot of, ocelots, monkeys, you name it. They had everything.
A lot of actresses had ocelots and stuff. Hollywood was big in keeping those kind of things. Oh my
Then we had
gosh.
margays.
Back in the 60s when you could have all that.
Yeah, well, Glenn's Pet and honey bears.
Ooh, honey bears.
Yeah, the kinkajous or
Yeah.
we had those too.
Those are cool.
We had those monster stump-tail macaques,
Uh-huh.
and we had built this big cage in the back, and it was all wood. They split these big pieces of bamboo, which we went up to Cal Poly and got off the grounds, and made it look like a bamboo cage. And that monkey would get up on those bars and shake that thing, and the whole cage would rock. I was like, hope he never gets out. But we had cages full of squirrel monkeys, marmosets. The woolly monkey at that time was the most popular.
Yeah, they're quite characters.
Yeah,
And really adorable too, looking.
and we used to go over to M&M.
Uh-huh.
There was two bird ranches over there in Monrovia,
Right.
but they also had monkeys.
Oh.
And I'm sure they're responsible for all those parrots that are flying around Pasadena now.
Frank was telling me that, he's been around so long, he remembers when there was no quarantine for birds.
Oh yeah, there was.
You could just bring them right in.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. A lot of people were. They would come to and sell them to you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, there were a lot of different people selling a lot of pets at that time.
Yeah, it was the heyday of the pet industry.
Well, that store, we were dealing with Sullivan Pet Supply, Jack Sullivan, before it became Pet Dealers.
Really?
Yeah. Bob Davis was my salesman. Herb Wallach was my salesman for Pemco.
Okay.
Keith Bonner was a salesman for Pemco at that time.
Oh, and Keith Bonner actually, before Pemco, worked for Pacific Goldfish Farms.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that until
Yeah.
recently.
And let's see, we bought from Merchant's Pet,
Man,
and the feed and everything came from O.H. Cruz in El Monte.
you don't look that old.
Yeah, nothing was prepackaged. You had the scale in the store.
Sure, you bulked
And
it.
the paper bags.
Yeah.
The 5 pounds of rabbit pellets and the 10 pounds. That was your best seller. Everybody had rabbits.
Yeah.
Well, Steve Saline was my salesman too,
Uh-huh.
from Western Pet Marketing, the company his dad owned.
Okay.
This is before he made Mustangs.
Pet products with the dog collars and stuff, right?
No, it was a full wholesale. Nutro dog food.
Oh, okay.
His dad owned Nutro dog food.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize how Steve was way ahead of the curve in the industry. Because him and I were close. We had cars in common. He was innovative with the trade show booth.
Okay.
Instead of bringing all that merchandise, he did a lot of photos. in the booth,
Oh.
and he was always ahead of the curve on a lot of stuff like that. And I would run into Steve all the time, when he got into the automotive end of it.
Uh-huh.
And it was funny. He said to me one time, because he always wants to know how the pet industry is, and I would tell him, and he goes, "Well, I have to tell you," he goes, "there's maybe 100 Ford dealers across the nation that know what they're doing." I started out with Noah's Ark,
Okay.
and his family wound up taking over the store, and it became DeSaro's
Okay.
in La Puente.
All right.
And I ran that store, and then Archie bought it,
Okay.
with me as a partner, to earn my percentage of it and that.
Okay.
And then we opened up the store in West Covina.
All right.
But Steve came in and showed you, merchandising.
Uh-huh.
How to stack stuff on the shelves, slanted shelves for gravity feed.
Right.
And the grocery store, concept. And that had never been done before. And then pet dealers came along, and then they started wanting to do barcodes, remember?
Right.
They were innovative on that. But that was a funny thing, because even when I was in La Puente working, we're buying these wrought iron bird cages and aquarium stands.
Right.
And the guys would always come in, and they were delivering to Russo's down in Newport. And they would tell me what a great store that was.
So tell me how you got into Russo's, and you met Jerry Dwyer and Lou Russo. And this is Russo's Wonderful World of Pets. The first one was in
Right.
Newport Beach, Fashion Island, which is an
Flagship store.
amazing mall, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so they took you on to really run. At that time, they had more than one Russo's.
Well, what
right?
happened was we bought them. Archie's, we had bought Russo's.
Really?
Yeah.
Because didn't Russo's buy Southwest?
It was after I was on board with them.
Oh, okay.
Here's what happened. We bought it, and Archie backed out.
Oh.
And then Lou and Jerry came to me and said, "We only sold it to him because we wanted you."
Oh.
And what had happened, their manager, Bob Keith, he just wanted too much of it for free. He wanted like 20% to start with.
Right.
And they were kind of dead set against that.
Okay.
So at that point in time, I thought, well, I only had like 10 or 15% of Archie's. And, not a lot of documentation to back it up,
Right.
So it was a little bit risky, and they were willing, so I sold my house, sold my Pantera, sold my place at the river, sold my boat, because they said, give us whatever you come up with a down payment, we'll work it out for you.
Wow.
And that's what I did. I sold everything and moved to Irvine.
Now, when you ran Russo's, we'll talk about Fashion Island. When I worked there, Jerry and Lou raised Italian Greyhounds.
Yes, they still did.
Yeah, and they had an inn with all the dog breeders, and all the dogs they got were basically from local breeders.
Yeah.
High-end ones and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And then of course that went away, and the breeders really weren't selling to pet shops after that. They kind of
There were a certain amount. Dot Shreve comes to mind.
All right.
Of course, Rebecca still was grooming there.
Okay.
And she had the English Cockers. I don't know if we ever got any dogs from her, but we got some from her friends and stuff, and I knew a few other breeders. But the main thing was the ones in the Midwest.
Right.
I was already dealing with those people.
commercial breeders.
Yeah, Excalibur.
Right.
Walt Weir, and he was ahead of the curve too. I mean, he was already tattooing.
Oh.
For identification and certification on the AKC papers. The dogs were healthy.
Yeah.
But we've been dealing with the puppy mill issue in the industries for
Forever.
ever. That's one of my pet peeves with the industry.
I know. I feel the same way.
They buried their head in the sand.
Yeah.
Their position was it'll go away. Just don't bring attention to it. And I was like, no, it's not. It's not going to go away.
Well, what gets me is now you've got shelters that are bringing dogs from Mexico.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and
In Europe.
And stuff. It's
And
like
they're
you're-
buying them up at the auctions in the Midwest.
Right. So you're doing the same thing that you criticize
Well,
the pet shops for.
Exactly. I mean,
And they're selling dry goods.
Yeah,
They're
and
making it like a pet shop.
Yeah, they never accomplished a thing.
No.
Nothing was accomplished by doing that. The state lost tax revenue.
Right.
Employees lost jobs.
Right.
And the consumer is not protected for buying a dog now,
Right.
nor is the pet have any protection.
Right.
When you think about the California Pet Protection Act, we were subject to 250% refund.
Right.
If we sold the dog to a customer. And, we had like 8 pieces of paperwork we had to give the consumer.
Sure.
And it was, that still didn't stop the animal activists. And the irony was, this all came because of Doctor's Pet.
Really?
Oh God, yes.
Okay.
Because like reverting back to where it started. Remember when I started, mom and pop stores.
Oh, doctors had a plane load of dogs and they crashed, didn't they, or something like that?
Oh, they had major problems.
Yeah,
You know.
okay.
Well, that was Art Stat. He owned a couple of doctor
And he had
franchises.
private planes
Yeah.
that he flew his dogs.
Yeah, he had Plenty Hills Mall and that. But what started happening was the evolution of the mall.
Right.
You know, and then as soon as those malls got built, those stores were, you know, basically Dr. Pet. Like, from what I understand, it was 2 Harvard grad lawyers in Massachusetts that started this franchise.
Oh, wow.
And they were able to get the majority of these leases in their back pocket as these malls were being built.
Oh, my God.
I know, because we tried to buy one from somebody that already had it at Pointy Hills and stuff like that. Because it was, you know, then all of a sudden the mall was the popular place to go to the pet store. And of course, dogs were the thing. And of course, we're losing
Right.
the animals right and left, you know, so we had tropical fish, you know. Most of the mall stores didn't deal with fish, you know,
Right.
puppy cages,
Right.
you know. And a guy up in Sacramento, I think, in the mall, I can't remember his name, or the pets, or Continental Pet or something like that. Well, he got raided by the activists, dead dogs in the freezer. It was a Dr. Pet Center,
Okay.
you know, and that started it. That, you know,
That was it.
That was the black eye, and you know that they started going to the Capitol, banning, you know, that we can't have this, and so that was the first bill which we were able to beat. And I remember we had a meeting after, and the only reason we won, and you know, Dave Wolfong was very instrumental in that. He was the head of Petland
Okay.
at the time. He had a few stores,
Right.
but you know, Petland seemed to be doing it a little better than
Right.
a lot better than
Than
because
doctors.
what it was, we all started visiting the kennels,
Right.
you know, and because Karen and I started doing that when we took over Russo's,
Sure.
you know, because we wanted to see where the dogs came from, you know, and we didn't really have that many health problems. I mean, you're going to have problems. You're dealing with puppies,
Right.
you know, but they, you know, we went up there, and what wound up, we got a wish list from Willie Brown,
Uh-huh.
you know, because we had no lobbyists, which we should have,
Right.
you know, because everybody knows what happens in California
Yes.
is going to go nationwide, you know, and they're finding that out now with all these bills
Sure.
to ban pet stores. The good thing is all these people are united now.
Right.
We were very fragmented.
Yeah.
You know, the people that had the petless stores, we call them, they could care less.
Right.
You know, it's not going to
Yeah.
hurt us. You know, no one had the vision to think, you're not going to sell any of that product if there is no dogs, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and the good breeders, you know, came to me and asked me to speak, you know, because they saw the writing on the wall.
Sure.
They knew they were next.
Right.
You know, because that was the whole goal of the activists. They don't want you to own a dog. They don't want you to own an animal.
No animals.
No
period.
animals. Remember, Santa Monica passed an ordinance.
Yeah.
You're not a dog owner. You're a guardian.
So, you know, when I went to work for Southwest Pet Center, it was the closest store to South Coast Plaza. And South Coast Plaza wouldn't allow a pet shop. And at Southwest, we had the 2 owners. I'm going to blank on their names.
Kurt Lorenz.
Yeah, Kurt Lorenz.
Kurt and Lynn.
Kurt and Lynn, right. And Kurt passed away in a plane crash.
Yeah, I didn't know that till the Register Obituary Department called me.
Really?
Yeah.
Lynn's still alive, isn't she?
Yeah, I think so.
I think she is. But they then expanded into dogs,
Yeah.
not cats, but dogs. And we sold a lot of purebred dogs, tons. And then they expanded into birds after that. So it was like a huge fish store. And then
it was a thorn to Lou and Jerry. They wanted to know why South Coast was doing so well. And he was close to Keith.
we did over $1 million like the first year in business. It was crazy.
Yeah.
The first year we had dogs and birds, we did over $1 million. And it was
Yeah.
like unusual for a store to do that
Yeah.
much.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Pets.
Back then.
Yeah. But it was so funny with all the commercial and all the bad rap that commercial breeders get, we had one dog problem.
Yeah.
In all the years I worked there, one dog
Yeah.
problem. It was hip dysplasia, like 9 or 10 months later on a Great Pyrenees, and,
Yeah.
we paid.
Yeah.
Paid the vet bills. I mean,
Exactly.
they love the dog. We're
Yeah.
like, yeah, why wouldn't we pay for it?
It's not, it's always been distorted, the puppy mill. I mean, talked to USDA when I was back there one time, and, because we wanted a list to visit kennels. And as I understand, there's hundreds of puppy mills. He goes, well, let us know if you find them. Yeah, and there are, and it's amazing to me. I mean, because when you go see some of these people's kennels and how the first thing I want to tell you about is their ventilation.
Yeah.
And these dogs have big runs, kennel runs.
But that's
they get
not
out
when,
on grass.
when you see the pictures. That's not what you see.
No.
You see these barbaric little
Old
cages and the
pictures,
dogs. Yeah, you see probably the worst of the worst
Yeah.
out of every single
Yep.
one. The
Yep.
one that should be out of business. We
Yep.
all agree
Yep.
on that one,
Yep.
you know. But you don't see the ones where they have built-in rooms and air conditioning and everything else and
and
kennel
they've raised
runs.
all this money. You would think they could have helped some of these people or put
Yeah.
them out of business.
Right.
But they're still back there because, like I said, I got calls from customers once I closed that still wanted another dog.
Really?
You know, and you know, my breeders were saying, like, you know, are you going to open, Dan? You going to open somewhere? You know, it's like, so, you know, I figured, okay, what do you got? You know, and I think it started with my niece. She wanted another Cavalier, you know, because I had sold, you know, got her a Cavalier.
I love those dogs.
And so, you know, I got this brainstorm because I brought in 3 of them because I said, you know, Diane, I said, you'll get this dog for free if you sell these other 2. Well, she set up a website immediately and sold them the first day. And I was like, you know, I had no place, you know, here to house them. So we just started, you know, she started setting up a website, taking deposits based on what out their inventory, pictures.
Right.
And the dogs were just basically being transshipped.
Yeah.
You know, the people, I mean, they were flying down here from San Francisco, Oakland. They were coming here to pick them up.
Right.
You know, and they were beautiful. Shiba Inus, Bernese, mountain dogs. I had all kinds.
The stuff you don't find in a rescue.
But the irony is, you know, because the airlines had really shut down doing a lot of the shipping anymore. And, you know, they have these trucks, these kennel trucks that are ventilated and everything, and they deliver. They make a straight run right here. And I had to meet this truck in Corona.
Okay.
In the, what do you call it? One of the big stores over there in their parking lot, like 3:30 in the morning. There were 20 other people there waiting for a puppy.
Really?
Yeah, and you look at the tags and, you know, the air bill and the health. They're all from the kennels from the Midwest.
Sure.
The people that were selling to the pet stores. So, like I say, the state lost all that sales tax, right? Because Russo's in Newport was doing over $2 million.
Single store.
Yeah, single store.
Yeah.
You know, and we had the Spectrum.
Right.
You know, and they were selling a lot of puppies, and you know, so you figure we're employing maybe 50 people.
Spectrum Mall on Jamboree? Is that?
No, Spectrum at the Irvine Center.
Oh, at the Irvine Center, okay.
See, what happened there, I was happy with just Newport.
Right.
I was having a ball. I mean, we were doing well, you know. And the Irvine company decided to build, remember they were supposed to build the Golden Triangle?
Okay, I don't know that.
It was where the 5 and the 405 meet.
Okay.
Well, they built the Spectrum. They started out as an entertainment center.
Okay.
Well, then the presidents come over to me and they're like, we need you in there to build traffic. We're going to put a retail end in. You know, okay, you know. I figured if I don't take it, you know, they're going to get another pet store.
Sure.
You know, and can I risk that? You know? But they built the store, you know, and with the irony, because you probably understand this, you know, is they said, the president of the Irvine company says, if it doesn't work out, Dan, walk away. you know, and the lawyers that do their leases like, are you kidding me? That's in the lease? You know, Gary Vaccaro, who's the assistant, you know, senior vice president, he goes, I'll take everything out of there that's going to be harmful to you. You know, and that was, I mean, I was a fair-haired child back then, you know, for the Irvine company. They loved me, you know.
Well, Fashion Island did. What I didn't understand was Fashion Island put all these rows in, and whenever they had a row that didn't get the traffic that they needed, they moved your store.
Yeah.
They said, Danny, we're going to move you to this row because we need more traffic. 6 times they moved your store.
Yep.
Paid for the whole move.
Yeah.
So they get more traffic because the pet shop was a driver to the traffic. It was incredible. And then at the end of the day, they don't renew your lease. After all that.
But Spectrum.
Yeah.
There were some women in the city of Irvine.
Right.
4 of them. I'm sure there were LA transplants.
Right.
That all of a sudden I wake up one morning, I'm reading the register, and there's Irvine City Council is going to meet about a city ordinance of banning pet stores that sell puppies. The only store that'll be affected by this is Russo's at the Irvine Spectrum. And I'm like, what? So I call Keith Eyrich, the president, and Russ Lowe also. And Russ Lowe calls me right back as, we're not going to tolerate this. He goes, we own 27 shopping centers in Irvine. They're not going to tell us who we can lease to. You know, we're behind you 110%, Dan, not to worry.
Okay.
Well, that made me feel better.
Sure.
But then they started giving, they were losing, the activists in Irvine were losing, but the mayor, Larry Arrigan, and I forget a few other, well, 3 or 4 of the council people bought dogs from me,
Okay.
and then we had a couple of meetings with the Irvine company and the city of Irvine, the council and all that.
Right.
And, I gave them a good explanation of everything, and the manager of the Spectrum, and she was behind me 100%.
Okay.
She sent letters in, and same thing with the vice president of the Irvine company. We don't see Dan doing any of these things you people say,
Right.
And then they started pressuring Bren,
Oh.
and he doesn't like bad publicity. Then they started picketing Fashion Island.
Oh,
They-
picketing.
Yeah, they were
Fashion
picketing the Spectrum, and then once they won which was really odd because Dr. Cole was my veterinarian who used to be partners with Dr. Rich.
Okay.
He'd used $50,000 of his own money to open up the Irvine shelter,
Oh my God.
and then they're coming and backstabbing and taking away probably 40% of his business now.
Oh my gosh.
And I had a lot of support there that night, and not one person got up to say that they had a problem with the dog they bought from me. A lot of it was all, they must be puppy mills, and just
It must be terrible.
yeah, it was all this, and come to find out, their decision was made. I don't know why they even had this meeting. Their decision was, their mind was already made up, and and I knew we were going to be out of there in October, when the lease ended, and the president calls my wife and I in at Newport, over across the street in the 505 building there, and we're putting out a news thing today. The Irvine company's no longer going to lease the pet stores in their shopping centers. He says when your lease is up, you're done.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and Russ Lowe resigned. Gary Vaccaro left.
Oh my gosh.
And Keith left, the president. They
Jeez.
felt so bad.
I'll bet.
Yeah, and Tanya, the mall manager, but they miss me. It's we had so much traffic in there. People are still asking. It's 10 years now. It's going to be 10 years, and people are still asking, "Where's the pet store?"
It's funny. The only thing left in Fashion Island that I remember completely is the koi pond.
Yeah,
And I used to supply them with goldfish for
Yeah.
that pond.
yeah, yeah.
It's
It's,
crazy.
And it's unfortunate. And then my friend Carrie made me I put up a big banner in the window at the Spectrum, which is a no-no with the Irvine company. But Nancy, the manager there, she goes, "You put it up."
Huh?
And I had a picture of all these city council people,
Wow.
and I had everybody, the customers, and everybody signing it. And it's like, we are no longer going to be here. I said, my employees are all going to be out of work this holiday.
Wow.
And it's thanks. That's the first time Larry Arrigan lost his election in the city of Irvine.
Really?
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is watching this evolution of dogs. When I worked in a pet shop, we never sold pit bulls.
No.
They didn't exist.
No.
And then all of a sudden, pit bull is the dog that you see at every shelter.
Yeah.
It's a pit bull mix, it's a Chihuahua, or it's Snoopy's brother Spike.
Well,
it's a...
Yeah, that's and that's a dirty little secret, because
Yeah.
that's what the shelters are filled with.
all of it.
But the internet and people selling dogs, and what's even worse, like a couple of times, there were some flights I was able to get a couple of dogs in. When you go in there, and the stories the guys at the Orange County airport were telling me, people are showing up thinking they're going to pick up a dog.
Yeah.
There is no such flight. They've already paid for this dog.
Oh.
And it's like, and he goes, "Dan, this is happening a lot." And I'm thinking, you're just one cargo. There's cargo all along. They're sending
Sure.
out these pictures, collecting the money,
Oh.
and then the one.
So it's a big scam.
Yeah, it's a big scam. I mean, a lot of these rescues, they just propped up overnight.
Yeah.
And they're selling dogs for $800-900.
It amazes me.
Yeah, and no guarantee with the dog.
Yeah.
And they get away with it, and then people, and that's, I think there's certain states in the United States right now that's probably the biggest complaint the district attorney gets is sick dogs from a rescue. But I'm happy to see a lot of the people that still have pet stores are united.
Yeah.
They're
they are.
working together, because we really would have we could have beat that, if we'd have hit it in the butt to begin with, but cause like you said, I'm sorry, that's what's going to happen is, as California goes, so goes the nation.
Yeah. There's still a lot of progressive states that, that you see full line pet shops with full line pets.
Yeah.
I mean, they have dogs, they have cats,
Yeah.
they have everything, fish, you name it. Mostly the Bible Belt, I hate to say it,
Yeah.
but from Ohio down into Florida.
Yeah.
But you go to Boston, you go to New York, all of those are passing these laws. And I'm like, number one, you're endangering a lot of these purebred breeds. Already 5 of them on the brink of extinction.
Yeah.
5, according to the AKA, 5
Yeah.
dogs are on the brink of extinction.
Yeah.
Because
that doesn't surprise me.
nobody knows what they are anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody's seen them. Nobody wants them because
Yeah.
they don't exist.
No. And that's trendy. I mean, there's a cycle. I mean, way back when, Cockers were the #1 breed, remember?
Right.
Then it was Labradors. Of course, then thank God Disney comes out with Dalmatians, and everybody and their brother
Wants
talk
a
about an
Dalmatian.
overbred dog, right?
Yeah.
Not an ideal dog for everybody.
No, it's not.
One thing I always liked to do was keep giving back to the community,
Right.
and donate a puppy for a charity auction.
Sure.
It started out, it wasn't something I planned, but my friend Priscilla that had the kitty grass,
Okay.
she was involved with the city of Costa Mesa, and we donated a dog to some event, and it got a lot of money. Of course, everybody that attends these events is involved in other charities.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, we're getting all these requests, And the most successful one I got was the juvenile diabetes.
Really?
They got $30,000 at the auction for this puppy.
What kind was it?
I don't know, the Lhasa Apso or Shih Tzu or something like
That's
that.
amazing.
Oh yeah, because the people start going crazy bidding.
Well, because it's a donation.
Yeah, it's a donation,
To that-
but and it's a puppy, and the guy's walking around from table to table with it. And it's not a silent auction, And if you get a good auctioneer,
Yeah.
it's going, it's going, and I was pleased with that, and it was good advertising for Russo's, and it was, to me, it felt like giving back, because you meet so many people. I did in Newport. I mean, you remember, John Wayne always came in the store.
I just had a conversation about that John Wayne came and asked me how much to groom his 2 Samoyeds, and I told him, and he goes, "That's too damn much money." I go, "This is John Wayne."
Yeah.
But he was huge, and his bodyguard was bigger.
Yeah. It always amazed me, the people with the money.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, his daughter asked me for a discount on a.
Really?
Yeah. it was-
Now, is that because they were little, the 2 little daughters that were twins,
I
weren't
guess
they?
so, yeah. I
They
guess
got
so.
the 2
Yeah.
Samoyeds.
And remember those stockings Mama Russo made? Those plastic ones with the bows? And Louie and Jerry used to hang them all around the store for decoration.
I don't remember that.
John Wayne grabbed one, once, and he looked at it and he goes, "This is ridiculous." And he lets it go, and then 2 people wanted it right away because he touched it. I had a woman come in once, and this was in the 90s, and she comes up to the counter. She's big overcoat, hat. She's got a little girl with her, English accent. She goes, "You the proprietor here?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I am." "You should be ashamed of yourself." I said, "Why is that? Having all those dogs back there in those cages like that." She goes, "You'd never get away with that in England." And I looked at her and I said, "Well, that's why we left."
What'd you do?
Turned a complaint on the office against me. But like I said, the evolution went from the mall stores to the big box.
Yeah.
I saw what was going on, with Petco and PetSmarts, and that's when I did the Tustin Marketplace store, which was a huge success. I did that with Bruce and Sam.
Really?
Yeah, they were partners with me.
Okay.
At Anapet at the time, and it was a good success. It immediately did well.
Wow.
Especially Keith came over, and then like within the first year they bookend me. Petco down on Newport Boulevard and Keith on Culver. They opened him. He was doing with Vince, I think, at the time. Super Pet.
Okay.
Yeah, and they bookended me, but it was still doing really well. And only 15% of my sales were dog food.
Yeah.
And they, the big guys, they rely on dog food as the big draw, which to me is like, wow,
Right.
But Bill set my fish department up in there, and we had it with 450-gallon vats in the ground.
Right.
One for the inverts, one for the salt, one for the African cichlids, and one for the goldfish or whatever. And our reptile system was really good. We were getting into chameleons then, and
Yeah.
all the different stuff, because they were, the employees are hobbyists too.
Right.
That's always the problem.
Yeah. But that's who you want to hire, though,
Yeah.
because they're good at selling.
Yeah, yeah.
They believe in what they sell and
Yeah.
they're passionate about it.
And the goal back then, when we opened that and it was so successful, it immediately made money. And we were going to open 2 or 3 more. But then the big box stores came in. It's strange how it's evolved now. But you're never going to stop people from buying puppies.
No, that's true. It's just a shame that they're trying to hurt stores that give kids joy.
I had a guy send me a card once. He said, Disneyland may be the most happiest place on earth. He goes, but you've got to be a close second.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and those were the compliments you got for, Fashion Island, especially is like, people love to come in and play with the dogs.
Right.
We used to let them walk them. Leave us your driver's license,
Yeah.
especially the larger breeds that
Sure.
needed to exercise. Just a natural thing.
That's pretty cool. Get a fake driver's license, get a free dog.
Yeah, there you go. We had these guys, well, cute dogs are girl magnets. And we always had these guys that wanted to take them out so they could get a girl to talk to them,
We love Pennsylvania. We go back there quite a bit, and we go do the Amish circle. We see some of the Amish farms. And my wife's really into quilts and stuff. And anyways, this one Amish farm, they were breeding Briards, and they were like $5,000 a piece.
Yeah.
They had one puppy left out with the cows. You'd go in the cow barn, and there was this big thing with one Briard left, cutest little thing. And I think he sold that hour that we were there.
Yeah.
Amish families are huge. And I know there's a lot of them that are breeding dogs in Ohio and Pennsylvania.
The Bernese Mountain dogs I was getting, and the Bernie Doodles from a young man named Laverne, and you don't call them on Sunday. But the dogs are healthy as can be. The Golden Doodles, the Golden Retrievers. They're what the breed's supposed to look like. The thing is, they know a hell of a lot more about breeding a dog than any of these backyard breeders.
Right.
That are, I got a dog, you got money, My philosophy with selling dogs and training our staff was talk them out of it first,
Right.
Give them the negatives, and then go over that warranty about they can't bring it back,
Right.
But we took them back. I didn't want to see anything happen to a dog, but I think if you covered all the bases to begin with, and just give them the options up front,
And kind of gear the dog to the person too,
Yeah.
You're not going to sell a German Shepherd to a little old lady.
No, and,
Wrong kind of dog.
You always had a parent in the love room with all these kids
Right,
with the
right.
dog, and I look at the parent and goes, you do realize this is going to wear off and it's going to be your responsibility.
Right.
You're going to be feeding it, cleaning it, taking
Right.
it to the vet. They're not going to walk it,
Right.
And I said, think about it before you pull the trigger.
I really wish everybody would get vet insurance
Yeah.
for every dog that went out the door.
Yeah.
Because they don't realize you could have one vet bill at $1,000 overnight. Just
Yeah.
one emergency vet bill, $1,000.
If you get out of the emergency over $1,000, you're doing good.
Right.
Yeah, because it's ridiculous.
Well, my dog got Kuhnhound paralysis where he lost all the movement in his
Yeah.
leg. And really what it's caused from my dog likes to stick his nose and everything. It's a little Morkie, a Maltese and
Yeah.
Yorkie mix. He sticks his nose everywhere. He even got coccidiosis from dove poop.
Yeah.
We had to
Yeah.
get that taken care of. But he got Kuhnhound paralysis. None of the vets knew what he had
Yeah.
because it's not common. It's fairly uncommon, but it surprises me because I thought this is really from botulism.
Yep.
This is from a dead animal, gets botulism, dog sticks his nose in it, it paralyzes all the nerves on his back, his legs stop. So it doesn't kill the dog in most cases, but it's a lot of work to get the dog's legs back.
Yep.
You got to do water walking,
Yeah.
you've got to rotate the legs.
You're
'cause-
human.
Yeah, you don't want to atrophy.
Yeah.
So you got to do all this stuff, and the first 2 weeks are really bad because the dog can't pee and poop.
Oh,
It's got to
God.
be manually done, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, but you'd think a vet would want to do that. Say if a person didn't want to do the pee and poop part, well, I'll take care of your dog for
Yeah.
2 weeks
Yeah.
until we can get him back.
Yeah.
And acupuncture works really good for
Yeah.
this problem too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they were using that DMSO, what they were putting on racehorses
yeah.
for arthritis and things like that.
One of the vets that I used was a horse vet that did
Yeah.
acupuncture on my little dog.
Yeah.
But he started pooping on his own right after I had acupuncture done.
Nice.
Like literally started that quick.
Nice.
But just to go through the journey of all the vets to have an MRI, an X-ray, CAT, you name it. I did everything. Blood work.
Yeah.
I think I spent probably close to $5,000 or $6,000.
Oh, yeah.
It was just nuts
Yeah. Yeah.
for my poor little guy.
I've had
which-
those bills.
But they're like a human. They're
Yeah.
they're family. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes the emergency hospital knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to go in there with a Black American Express card or famous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had my run-ins with them over that.
Yeah.
I went right back over there and picked up a customer's dog.
Really.
Yeah, but and of course, Orange County, we have a lot of veterinarians here. Many, many, many. I don't know about you up there.
No, we have a lot. And the only vet that knew about the coonhound was the vet from Indiana,
Yeah.
because hunting dogs get it all the time.
Yeah, the little Maltese we had, none of the vets could figure out. She kept on going hypoglycemic on us. But
Really?
we took it home, and finally, Dr. Taberry, one of Dr. Cole's vets over in North Park, she figured it out. It was a stomach parasite, and boom.
Right.
Yeah, then she became overweight, and we kept her, I don't know how many years.
So, I have one thing to show you. Just from my days at Russo's.
Okay.
Well, here is Lou Russo's book on Italian Greyhounds.
I had one somewhere. Yeah. That is so cool.
Isn't that neat?
Louis in the book.
Oh, I think he is, with showing a dog.
Yeah. And that's Cressy in there.
And here is the postcard for Gertrude.
Gertrude.
The two-headed pine snake.
Yep. That I took onto TV.
Really?
I took her to the beginning show of Those Amazing Animals.
And there is Gertrude.
Gertrude, yeah.
There's the two-headed pine snake
How cool.
from Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, I took her on the show. That's when they merged Those Amazing Animals with That's Amazing.
Uh-huh.
And it became one show. It was Burgess Meredith, John Davidson, Priscilla Presley, and Kathy somebody, I forget, and the guy that sang Spiders and Snake, I forgot his name, Jim something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't like spiders and snakes.
Yeah, so I went to the show, and Leo Sachs was there. I don't know if you knew him, but he had like a 26-foot python there with him.
Uh-huh.
And they were going to show that too, and Gertrude.
Right.
And just before I was ready to go on with Gertrude, Joan Embry took her.
Oh.
So I didn't get paid. But she was in those two movies.
Okay.
Yeah, Gertrude was in the movie
Oh, this is a movie? Really?
Sis with Stroder Martin.
Okay.
And the guy from the A-Team that turned,
All right.
forget, he turned into a snake.
Right.
And then Resurrection with Ellen Bernstein.
Really?
Yeah, you can Google that, and there's pictures of her.
I'll have to check
She's
that out.
handling it, and she's a psychic or something.
I know the story behind Gertrude was Chip Wallace, who is a Navajo Indian, was in Florida and caught that snake, and he exhibited it in some sideshow he had down there, made his way across country to California, got his job at Russo's Pets, and wanted a place to keep his snake, and they had it there, and then
Yeah.
Chip eventually, I guess, sold it to Jerry.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, Jerry knew.
Yeah.
Jerry knew. Somebody tried to steal it once in Laguna Hills Mall,
Uh-huh.
and Jerry's running through the mall. Stop, he's got my snake. There ain't nobody going to stop. Yeah, it was unfortunate. One of the employees over at Southwest left her soaking too long,
Oh.
and I think she drowned.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that, well, she was old too.
Yeah, that snake was old.
Yeah, but she was
Snake
the oldest living one in captivity.
I mean, literally over 20 years that
Yeah,
I
'cause
know of, maybe older.
I don't think San Diego Zoo was able to keep one alive.
Yeah.
But Lou and Jerry fed the head separately.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
really? They knew how to do it?
Yeah.
Because that's how he had to do it, too.
Yeah.
Hold the head and give
Yeah.
one head a mouse and
Yeah.
hold the other
Because
head.
they had one common esophagus, but each had a brain, right?
Right. And they would try to eat each other
Yeah.
if you fed them a
Yeah,
mouse.
they'd never be able to catch anything.
No. Oh, that's so crazy. So do you love your life in the pet industry?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I miss it.
I
You
know.
know, like Bill was saying, you could write a book, but then he goes, no, you could fill a library now. Met a lot of nice people, had a lot of great memories with the pet industry. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Good.
If I had the energy, I'd open again.
I'm the same way. That's why I love doing this. I love interviewing people like
Yeah.
you, and so we have a record of this.
Well, Danny Parker still calls me wanting me to do something.
Really?
Yeah, you remember Dan, right? He was a Russo employee.
Okay.
He had Parker's Pet
Oh, okay. All right.
up of Ford Road, I think it was.
Yeah.
Of course, he's a commercial real estate.
Oh, real estate guy?
He handles leases for businesses and stuff.
Oh, all right.
He helped me with Fashion Island.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What was the rent at Fashion Island, just out of curiosity?
My common area maintenance was higher than the rent.
Really?
Yeah. My sales were so high they were exceeding the break point of the lease.
Really?
So come July, my sales were still so high. I met the break point in July. I was paying rent plus 6% of
Wow.
sales from July through December.
Oh my gosh.
And writing that December check killed me just to give them all that money.
Because the Irvine company that owns Fashion Island too?
Yeah.
And they want a percentage of your sales as well as rent.
Yeah.
Which, isn't that unusual?
No.
Not?
No.
Okay.
No, but I had a really low lease.
Okay.
Like I said, it was so low, the common area maintenance was higher
Right.
than my rent.
That's crazy.
You know, I mean, it should have been, and what some people were paying for the space, I think I was at 1,800 square feet in the last store. It should have been like 25,000.
That's insane.
You know, and that would have been a decent lease. But, you know, might as well work for the Irvine company.
Yeah.
But I was in there for a lot less. You know, I think at peaks I was paying maybe 16.
Oh,
You know,
that's great.
with overage rent.
Well, you were their little golden ticket. I mean,
Yeah.
you caused traffic everywhere they
Yeah.
put you. There was tons of traffic. I remember going into the store, and everybody was around those dogs.
Yeah, and I didn't used to open Easter, but my friend Don that had one of the carts,
Uh-huh.
he goes, "Oh, you really should." But you know, because somebody has to go in there and feed anyway.
Right.
You know, we got to go in twice a day. So I said, "Okay, we'll do it." We were packed. We were packed because people are there eating and walking
Right.
around the pond and everything, and it's Easter. So it's like, well, the rent's going on, so might as well make some money.
I think the most addictive drug in the world is puppy breath.
Is what?
Puppy breath.
Oh yeah.
Because when we used to have, when I was doing Russo or Southwest, and we had a girl, and her mom bred dogs, and so she had a good working knowledge of dogs, and she would open the cage up. Anybody that wanted to see a dog, open the cage up and stick it right in their arms.
Yeah.
And literally, I mean, 9 out of 10 times they would buy that dog.
Yeah.
It did not fail. They
No.
would buy that
Oh
dog.
yeah. The dogs sold themselves.
They did. But you're right. You got to talk to those people and say, this is what
Yeah.
you're in for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just know
Otherwise, there's
gonna
buyer's
chew.
remorse. Yeah.
it's going to have accidents in the house.
Yeah.
It's going to pee. You know.
You're right.
It's going to bark, and you got vet experiences.
Oh, my wife likes to say, Jasper, if you get sick again, you're going down. Because she saw me go to the vet one time 3 times in
Yeah.
a night, like literally 3 in the morning, and
Yeah.
driving to the emergency vet. You know,
It's your
and-
kid.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, Mark Twain said, "The more people you meet, the more you like your dog."
yeah, we love our dog. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's. You know, I had the one guy sold him an English bulldog. He lived in Big Canyon,
Uh-huh.
and it was a local breeder, Greg, and
Right.
he reneged on getting the papers on time, and this customer was upset. So I called Greg and I said, "You need to talk to him." And I said, "Because you got me in trouble here." So he calls him. He calls me back. He goes, "I took care of it, Dan. He's happy now." He goes, "But he still wants you to call him." I said, "Okay, I might as well prepare myself to get my ass chewed out, right?" So I call him up, and he goes, "I've never had a dog before. I don't care about the papers." He goes, "I've never had a dog. I was in there with my grandson. I fell in love with this dog." He goes, "My biggest fear is that he goes before me."
Right.
You know, and he says, "Let me tell you something, Dad." He goes, "My name is Steve Smith." He goes, "I owned a small company called Smith Food Kings, and I sold it to Ralph's."
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he goes, "I've never been so happy with a pet in my life." It was a French bulldog,
Yeah.
English bulldog, yeah.
Yeah.
Bill Gross
Yeah.
from what do you call it, Pimco,
Wow.
the founder of
Founder of
that,
Pimco?
yeah, Pimco Fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and his wife. Yeah, they were really good customers, nice people. They came in regularly, you know, and very wealthy.
Yeah.
You know, if you go down Laguna Beach, that hospital, it was the Bill and Susie Gross,
Oh,
you know, emergency center.
Really?
You know, and I asked Susie one day, I said, they just opened that new Mexican restaurant in the parking lot. I said, "Susie, have you tried Olay or something like that?" She goes, "Dan, we can afford to eat there and it's too expensive." It's like, okay.
well, you know, it's Danny. Those of us that really came up in the pet industry, we got dirt under our fingernails.
Yeah.
And we understand the value. You know, so I could relate to that when somebody says we can afford to eat there, but it's too expensive.
yeah.
I can completely relate to that.
Oh, yeah.
If I think they're gouging you or it's just ridiculous money, it's like, I worked too hard.
Yeah.
For too long.
Oh, yeah. My wife used to get mad at me when people, some of these people coming in asking, for a discount, I'd look at them like, well, trade you the Rolex or your earrings.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're flaunting it. That's
Yeah.
really bad.
And you know what? I had one customer, I don't know if you knew Judy Fabrici.
Uh-huh.
She's bought, over the years, 30 dogs from me.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I mean, she bought them for gifts for people, her family, things like that. She owns Simple Green.
Really?
Yeah. But she would take dogs home, Yeah, Judy, that was not eating really good. Will you take it home tonight? Yeah. I'll take it for a couple of nights, She would do that, Super
my
nice,
God.
and you get some like that or just make up a big difference.
That's
Then you can talk
incredible.
about some of the celebrities that come in, that were really. The only person I ever went up and got an autograph from was Johnny Unitas.
Really?
Yeah, I thought I got to have his autograph, and he wound up. He died like within that year. He had a grandson at graduating at UCI.
Oh.
He was in town. It's
Did
like,
you ever have Raquel Welch come in?
no, but I'm trying to think of her name. I always get her mixed up with Morgan Fairchild. I think she dated Charlie.
Sheen.
Yeah.
Heather Locklear.
Yeah, Heather Locklear. Really, really nice.
I saw her in Malibu.
Yeah.
She came into one of the restaurants we were eating at.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think she lived in Laguna, I think, when she was coming in Fashion Island.
Oh, okay. All right.
And we had a lot of celebrities that came, bought dogs. Kobe bought 2 dogs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he'd come in with his daughter. He was quiet. Lindsay Davenport was really shy.
Really?
She's nice, really nice, shy. Lyle Lovett came in, telling me all about his Jack Russell. He was nice.
I love his music. He's great.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's. I'm trying to think some of the other.
See, these
what's her name?
people-
Tawny Katane.
That's what I love about this, If there's a heaven, I want to be in it with all the pet people because they're the fun ones.
Yeah.
All these animal rights people are just negative
Oh,
people.
God, yes.
They don't
Very
want
rare.
anybody to have any happiness at all on this earth at all. They just want to be negative. And
Well,
yes, there are bad actors,
my theory
and
on
we all
that
want them
is,
gone.
they always want to speak for something that can't speak,
Right,
and none of them have children,
right,
so they can't relate to children things.
right.
So and that's always been my thought with the activists. Like we always say, it's the minority voice that's getting the most attention.
So they've got the
We're
megaphone.
going to please this 10% of these people and upset the other 90 so that you can't have a pet,
Well, the 90 that are busy working, they wonder, well, why didn't the pet
Yeah.
industry show up? Because we're working cleaning cages and animals and everything.
Well,
we
one
work
time-
a lot of hours. All right, Danny.
Yeah, it's right at the time my son said he just left Phoenix. He's flying in from Nashville. He's boarding Arizona at 2:59. Well, that's not bad. So he should probably be here at about 3:30.